Welcome to Rational Alchemy TV.
Here are some things that I've never seen. A ghost or an angel or a prescient dream. A UFO photo at a decent zoom. Jesus standing there like he was me or you. A best-selling psychic win the lottery. A double-blind test for homeopathy. A proselytizer who made me think. Or a can of beer I didn't want to drink. I even like 'em warm. See, what I want is knowledge and fun. Knowledge and fun. Knowledge and fun. The things that I want, they're knowledge and fun. Knowledge and fun.
Welcome to Rational Alchemy, coming to you live from the Captain's Lounge. And guess what, guys? We're on the wrong side of the tracks this week. I've got a very special guest with me. In fact, we have a flock of Aves fluttering around the studio. So let's get on with this flocking show right now. And I'd like to introduce my daughter, Vanessa.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. Well, we did have you quite a number of years ago, but anyway, that's beside the point.
Yeah, well, that was on the radio and less,
Yes, that's
less
true.
personal.
That's true. Oh, let's play some Pink Floyd and get this over and done with. What we're going to do today, we're going to talk about, we'll probably delve into lots of little areas, but our main focus today is to talk about the cost of education in America, the rising costs, how it's becoming almost impossible for normal people to get a good education. So Vanessa, I'll tell you what, why don't you give us a brief summary of how you've got to where you've got to, and start off with, say, Metro.
Start with Metro. Well, actually, I would rather start with Front Range.
Oh, start with Front Range.
I was fortunate enough to be able to afford to go to a community college, and they really gave me a quality education, just like any university would. And so when I was finally ready to move on to Metro, I didn't realize how much more expensive it was going to be.
So Front Range, which of course is located here in Colorado, I don't know if they're in any other states. I don't believe they are. But Front Range gave you a really good education at very reasonable prices?
Oh yes, very reasonable prices, minus the textbooks.
I know textbooks is going to become a talking point in the very near future.
Yes, but overall, they were very reasonable, and the teachers wanted to be there. They wanted to be there, and it showed. And at Metro, the teachers also wanted to be there. Of course, they were being paid more.
Yes.
But, you know, even though I went to a state college instead of a university, I was still paying quite a bit. I ended up getting a personal loan instead of going through the school, through the Devil's Bank, Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
And because I couldn't afford the subsidized loans that the school has to offer, it made more sense to go through a private loan. And my friends who were going to university, like CSU or CU, were paying 3 times as much as I was.
At Metro?
Yeah, from Metro.
Wow.
What one semester would cost me would be about $2,500. At CU, it would be about $8,000.
For exactly the same?
For exactly the same.
Education.
And let's say you have a biology class. At Metro, the class size would be about 40, and at CU, the class size would be about 400.
So getting a question answered was pretty remote.
Yes. Yeah, they have clickers.
No.
And so the teacher would put on the board what a question was, and you had A, B, C, or D, and then you clicked which answer was the correct answer.
So with a 25% chance of me getting any question right, I could probably pass one of their They're
Right.
courses.
Right. Yeah. So my journey from Metro, I kind of fell in love with education from there, and I got my bachelor's in fine arts, and then I realized that a bachelor's in fine art gets you nowhere.
Well, you become a house painter.
A house painter, yeah, I could easily do that.
Yes.
And I did.
Actually, you did, didn't you?
I did. And so then I decided to move on and get my master's in fine art. And I applied to different schools, and I ended up getting into an Ivy League school based on my portfolio. But that cost quite a bit of money,
Yes.
quite a bit. That's the Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts. It's in Philadelphia. And I would say for one semester there, I was paying about $12,000 to $13,000. That does not include the cost of art supplies or textbooks or anything like that. That was just to attend the school.
So we've now gone up to 6 times the cost of Metro for the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts.
Right.
Would you say that what you were learning there was worth 6 times the cost?
I would, because they really did a good job in preparing us for the real world of art and what the art world meant and what it meant to go into different professions in the art world, whether it be teaching or whether you're just trying to make it as an artist or whether you want to go into curation. They did a very good job rounding out the education and giving you your own studio space. They allowed me to create my autobiography, which was, I was the first person in the history of the school to create a book, a commercialized book.
You were also, if memory serves me well, the first person in the history of PAFA to actually do the project that you talked about in your interviews as your final.
Yep. I was the only one who said, who had a clear vision.
Who had an absolute clear vision and stuck with it.
Yes. I was also the first student in the history of PAFA to disgruntle a critic so much that they could not work with me.
I remember that episode well. And sadly, the studios that they have given you had no roofs.
Right.
So all the students around you also heard
Yes.
the... yes, that was quite an interesting little period of your life. I remember it oh so well.
Yes.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. So what came next? So you've now got your bachelor's, you've now got your master's.
Well, from there, I moved back to Colorado, which was a mistake because the East Coast had a lot more opportunity, not only in the art realm, but also in teaching, which was my passion, was teaching. That's why I keep mentioning it. But I moved back to Colorado and I applied to many schools, community colleges, universities, and I just couldn't get my foot in the door anywhere. So I thought to myself, what is your second passion? If you can't teach, what is your second passion? And my second passion, which is what I wrote my autobiography about, was psychology. And so I decided to go back to school and become an art therapist. And I used my autobiography as a kind of information pamphlet, if you will, to put in with my application to each of the schools. Actually, I only applied to one school.
Yes.
That's right. I got into the school I applied to. And
Because they are renowned as being America's one of the best, if not the best.
yes, one of the best schools in the United States for the art therapy program. Naropa, interestingly enough, in Boulder, being up there on the top 10. But I wasn't interested in Europa because to me they were kind of a hippy-dippy school with retreats and just things that I wasn't interested in.
Okay.
I was interested in the academic side of learning. So I went back to Metro. I had to take out another loan to get my prereqs. Then I went to Antioch, and that's up in Seattle. And I had to take out more loans. Now the difference between an undergrad loan and a graduate loan is you have to start paying interest immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And they do not give you that student grace period. So I've already accrued, just in the year that I've been there, they send me emails periodically that I get charged $4.68 a day. So if you times that by a year,
Mm-hmm.
I've already accrued, I mean, I can't do the math that quickly in my head, but
No.
quite a bit money just in interest alone. So it's kind of highway robbery, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what we've talked about here is, up to this point, is purely the cost of the schools.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's talk about the cost of supplies.
Oh, goodness.
And the total, this is unbelievable. Yeah, talk about how much you spend on books.
Okay. Well, at Metro, for example, they split their biology courses into two separate courses. So you have Bio 1 and Bio 2. But it's the same textbook for both classes. But every year they come out with a new edition. And you have to rebuy the textbook every year. So if you're one of the lucky students who signed up for Bio 1 right when they released the new edition, then you were fine. But if you signed up for Bio 1 when it was in that middle transition phase, you had to rebuy a $350 textbook that, I mean, for your second quarter or second semester, and that's just ludicrous to me.
That is totally ludicrous. When I was at college in England, they used to supply all of the books. Never cost us a thing.
Mm.
Now, I must admit, some of the books did come from the 17th century,
Right.
okay? But in cases like this, there is probably no reason for them to update the book on a yearly basis.
Well, usually it was just them shifting chapters around.
And they have the privilege of charging you $350.
Yep.
And people wonder why they cannot afford education any longer. Do you have any other examples of that? I mean, what about out in Seattle? Those books cannot be cheap.
Oh, they're not cheap at all. They have a bookstore that they encourage students to buy their books from. But what I do is I look up the ISBN numbers, and then I go on Amazon and I order my books through Amazon. One example for this quarter is there's a textbook for $230, and I got it for $109 on Amazon. So you can, there are alternate routes that you can take that that I highly encourage people to take.
Right. But what fascinates me about all of this is the bookstore on campus ought to be the best bet.
Yes.
It really should be the best bet of being able to purchase something like a book for a course.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not. And that to me is totally wrong. And it's just like the schools are just trying to profiteer as much as possible.
Yes. And I completely agree. Metro was the same way. I will say this about the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts is they didn't require textbooks.
Mm-hmm.
The teachers supplied the readings through Xerox copies because they use such a wide variety of readings that to make the students buy the books would have been thousands of dollars.
Right. Because they'd have
So-
needed 20 or 30 books.
Right.
Yes.
So they would just bring in the articles, hand them out to us and say, hey, you know, read the article and we'll be fine.
Okay, that's good.
However, we had to buy our own art supplies,
Yes.
and art supplies are not cheap.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. This is true.
Supporting both you and Mum with your art supplies, I know.
Yes. But interestingly enough, you can write off art supplies on your taxes.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot write off textbooks.
That's right. Which doesn't make any sense really when you think about it, but yeah, absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy.
But you can write off art supplies as a business expense.
Yes. Yes,
So that was beneficial.
that was beneficial.
And then also one other thing to note is at Antioch, their bookstore is it's incredibly small and privately owned by the school. And so you would think even more so that they would have competitive prices. But they just don't.
They don't.
They just don't.
Yeah, I find that so hard to believe. Doesn't make any sense to me
Right.
at all. It really doesn't. Now, when you were in Pennsylvania, you became a teacher's assistant.
Mm-hmm.
Any funny little stories that went along with that? What was his Professor Z, wasn't it?
Professor Z, Zlatan Graborovic. Yeah, Professor Z. Let me note that there's a difference between being a TA and a GA.
Mm-hmm.
I was a GA because you have to pay TAs.
Ah,
And so they made us graduate assistants, even though in a university, a TA is a graduate assistant, but you have to actually pay the TAs. And so again, it was another way for them to kind of highway robbery us by just changing the title as to what we were.
okay. So it's not just the athletes in college that are getting screwed over by not getting paid. You guys were getting screwed over as
Right.
well.
Yes. Had I been doing the same job at CU, I would have been getting paid probably, I think Phil, my good friend Phil, TAs, and he makes about $15 an hour TAing.
That's not bad at all, is
But
it?
he works his ass off, grading papers,
Yes.
dealing with students, but that's what I did.
But that's exactly what you did.
As far as a funny antidote, I mean, the professor was absolutely out of his mind.
Yes. But that's beside the point.
Yes.
I really liked him.
Oh yeah, no, he
Only
was
had
great.
the privilege of meeting him once, but really enjoyed him.
Yeah.
He was fun.
No, he's a great guy. I'm still in communication with him.
Yes. Yes. Well, you worked hard for him, and you two did actually get on very well together. Yeah, so that was a good little team that you built there. So what else has been happening within the school world? Anything you'd like? Any little stories that you'd like to tell about that's happened over the years while you're at school, or
Oh, putting me on the spot, are
I'm
you?
putting you right on the spot? That's what dads do, isn't it?
This is true. Okay, well, this is kind of a bittersweet story, but I went into Antioch with high hopes and dreams of them having the best art therapy program in the country. But what I came to realize after about a year is they are not what they seem to be. And instead of dropping out of school completely, which I was about ready to do, I decided to switch over to just the clinical mental health counseling program. So I will become a therapist. I can't broadcast on my little plaque, art therapist.
Mm-hmm.
However, I have enough training that I will be able to use art therapy on clients that I feel would benefit from it.
Good.
So even though I can't say I'm an art therapist, I will be able to use art therapy techniques.
That's good.
And it's all working out for the best. Because what I found was there are no letter grades at Antioch. We are graded on competency levels. There's below competency, competent, required competency, intermediate, and then advanced. And I found that the art therapy program was grading subjectively, where I got intermediate competency on every single assignment in one class, and then I got required competency in the course. And the reason was because, and this is what she wrote in my evaluation, I was too academic. It was an academic course.
And it was an academic course.
It was all based on theory. And so I was really upset about that. And every single class I've had in the CMHC program, they've graded on facts and figures. It's all been about this is what you got all quarter long, and this is the end result.
That's right.
In the class.
And to put it in another way, it's as if you're a student at school, and all through the course you get A, and right at the end, you're an E.
Right.
And that's the sort of correlation here where, obviously Vanessa and myself had long conversations about this when it went down, and neither of us could get our heads around what they were doing.
Right.
Because it made absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Right.
And I won't let you dig a big hole for yourself, but I will also say that Vanessa did have meetings about this and got absolutely nowhere. And no one came up with a reasonable or logical explanation for it.
Nope.
So, I mean, that was dreadful. So, but anyway, the thing is, you've moved on, you're still there, and you're still studying hard, and things are going well.
Yes.
Yes, good. Good. So tell me a bit more about yourself. I mean, I know nothing.
You know nothing.
Acting, do you miss it?
I do. I do miss acting. I don't miss the stage fright, but I always found that when I was doing a lot of theater, I would get that kind of feeling, that pit in my stomach right before I went on stage, but then as soon as I hit the stage, I was fine.
You know, I'm exactly the same way. I'm always a bundle of nerves before I go on stage, but as soon as I put one foot on stage and those lights hit me, I go straight into character.
Right. I think Narnia was the hardest for me because I was playing a different species.
Well, that was true, though, of everybody.
Yes. And Tumnus is such a beloved character. I remember after each show, all the little kids would run down and they would want to meet the beavers.
Yeah.
And they would want to meet Tumnus.
Yeah. The beavers were my son, Beck,
Yep.
and a very good theatre friend of ours, Sarah Friedman. And they had a dance routine that would knock your socks
I
off.
know.
But I mean, Tumnus as well. The thing is, Vanessa, when you took on Tumnus, one, it's a very complicated song.
Right.
Which you nailed every night, but also you changed your whole walking style to fit the character.
Yes.
Do you remember all the issues I had trying to get the blasted Narnians to be Narnians?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It took a lot of training, but some of the real theatre people that understand acting, they did not want to be humans in an animal costume. They realized that from out front, from the audience, they had to become the animals for it to feel right, to look right. You nailed it very quickly.
Yeah. My favorite were the trees.
Yes. Oh, my poor trees.
Yeah.
They survived.
They did.
They survived.
My other favorite show was Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. That was one of my favorite shows that I've ever done.
That, of course, has my favorite line up in the light booth, doesn't it?
Is that Alex and Vanessa
Is
down
that
there?
Tell the whole story.
Okay, so Alex, my sister, Alex, and we played part of this special group that fawn over Joseph, and we
Bunch of hookers, basically.
yeah, our skirts were shorter, and we had to wear big fake eyelashes, and our wigs were different, and basically we were his groupies. I think that's even how the script depicted us.
Yep.
Was his groupies.
His groupies.
And we'd been doing this for quite some time, and Dad was always up in the Did you run sound?
I was running sound and one of the spotlights.
Okay.
I'll take the story over from here.
Okay.
So I was running sound and one of the spotlights. So I was up in the light booth. And of course, being one of the tech people, I was there for what we traditionally call in theatre Hell Week, which is the final week before opening night. And obviously all the runs. So I had probably seen the show now, I don't know, probably 9 times. So the second weekend, I'm up there, there's Jean Main, very good friend of ours, Kevin Empressant, a very good friend of ours. They were the lighting gurus of the LTC. If you needed the most complex lighting, somehow those two always managed to get it done for you, no matter what. So we're up in the light booth, and all of a sudden, I dig Jean in the ribs, and I go, good grief, that's Alex and Vanessa. Which, of course, cracked up the whole of the light booth. So, yes, they were so well made up that I had not recognized them for all of Hell Week and at least 4 runs of the show.
Yeah.
What a dummy I am. Don't answer that. That was fun, though.
Yeah.
That was fun. Were you ever up in the light booth with Jean and Kevin running a show?
Mm-hmm.
What was their golden rule?
Drinking Moscow Mules.
Drinking Moscow Mules. If you made a mistake, you had to have a shot of vodka.
Now, what's funny is I ran a show with them when I was 18.
Yes. We probably shouldn't talk any more about this.
Yes.
However, would you like to, before we finish, would you like to tell the story
of
the world's shortest sound effect?
Okay, so Grease is running, and the shot is the greasers come on stage, and the police come, and Dad and myself were goofing off, and it was my responsibility to tell him now, and he hits the button, and the police siren goes off. And I went, okay, now. And he hits it, wait, and he hits it again. And so it goes, bloop. And that was it.
That was it.
And then a roar of laughter comes from the light booth. And all the greasers on stage just freeze.
And they got no idea what to do next.
And then they finally just creep off stage like deer in headlights. It was hysterical.
Oh, it was so funny from our point of view.
From our point of view, and I'm sure the audience could just hear us just
Laughing.
And that was it.
We are so proud of the world's shortest sound effect. And that's the only mistake I've ever made running sound. The only mistake. Well, Vanessa, anything else you'd like to talk about while we're here, or shall we wrap it?
I say we wrap it up.
I say we wrap it as well. Should we do the old sign-off for KRFC?
I don't recall what the sign-off was.
Oh, I don't have the music for it, so we won't do that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching another episode of Rational Alchemy. I'd especially like to thank my daughter Vanessa for coming to the theatre, talking a little bit about the education, talking a little bit about theatre that we've been involved in together. We've had some hoots in our past, and she's one of the best travelling companions you could ever hope for. We went over to the UK together to visit Grandma, and we had a gas. It was a lot of fun.
There were a lot of pints.
There were a lot of pints involved, and of course those were real pints.
Yes.
None of these 16 fluid ounce nonsense. These
No.
were 20 fluid ounces. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Rational Alchemy will be back sometime in the very, very, very near
Knowledge
future.
and fun.
Over and out.
Knowledge and fun. Knowledge and fun. The only things better than love and happiness are knowledge and fun. Knowledge and fun. The only things better than love and happiness are knowledge and fun. Knowledge and fun. Knowledge and fun.
The Fox network has sunk to a new low.